can do things you cannot. You can do things I cannot. Together, we can do great things. Welcome to a class themed around support and celebrating the idea that with a little help or collaboration, great outcomes result. Using our yoga block to symbolize the idea of support today, it is highly recommended you bring one or something like it onto your mat. Using this prop, we will explore how to find more stability in our practice and how this object can take us further. Getting started today in a supported seated position. When you are ready, I will meet you there. Option 1 as we get settled here is from a kneeling posture with your block underneath your tailbone. Make sure this feels comfortable both in your knees and your lower body, or alternatively opting to sit cross-legged with your hips a little bit higher than the knees to allow the lower legs to fall with more ease. Once you have chosen how you will start, begin to settle into stillness, allow the spine to lengthen and the eyes to dial down. Begin to move your breath in and out through your nose and start to find a bit more connection to this space and time. Giving yourself permission to be fully here, start to feel and experience every breath a little more deeply. Begin to feel the lungs expand in all directions as air enters through your nose. And begin to feel all the softness that arises with every exhale that leaves the body. Here in your seated position, as breath continues to flow through you, begin to find length in your backside. Begin to feel that support underneath you as your tailbone roots into your block. Feel your spine lengthen and lift, more space between each vertebrae coming with every round of breath. When your next exhale leaves your body, allow your eyes to flutter open as gentle movements come into you wherever it feels most desired. From here, we start to set up for a warm-up flow that we'll move through twice. Using an inhale breath, reach the arms all the way up, gaze up, palms come to touch, exhaling hands to heart center. Doing this 2 more times, squeeze the shoulder blades together as you inhale. Keep length into the spine, exhaling to lower down. 1 more at your own pace. From here, taking your block, shifting yourself forward, setting up for supported puppy dog pose. Hips stay hovering into the sky, chest lowers onto your block for support. Hands are forward, take 3 big breaths. Using an inhale breath, bring yourself up to tabletop, place your block underneath your forehead, right hand rests on it, inhaling the left arm comes all the way up, and then as you exhale, weave it underneath your torso. 2 more times, inhaling to reach up, shine the heart high, exhale to weave the arm under, moving through 1 more at your own pace, noticing the space that becomes available here because of that extra lift we've received from the block. When your 3 are done, shifting onto the other side. Left hand onto the block, right arm and gaze all the way up. As you breathe out, lowering the right arm down and under. 2 more at your own smoothest pace, exploring your shape and form, movement in your body, and breath flowing through you. When you're 3 complete, taking your block behind you as we set up for half camel. Left hand grounded first, make sure your block is stable, and then begin to shift the hips ahead, reach the right arm all the way up and behind you, gaze high. Notice this bend in your back, make sure that you feel really supported from that block, and then start to exhale to lower out. Switching sides, right hand is supported by your block, hips are forward, left arm reaching behind. Eventually using an exhale breath to lower back to our very first pose, supported here with block under your tailbone, or comfortably in a cross-legged seated position for 3 rounds, inhaling to reach and lengthen, exhaling hands to heart center. Going through all of these poses just twice here to warm up. This is our second and final visit, noticing what you have learned, how you can grow bigger, where there is more space. When you're 3 complete, transitioning your way to your supported puppy dog position. Last time with block under the chest, it gave us extra support. If this time you'd like to explore more depth, try the block under your forehead and notice how you can have a deeper curve in the spine, lowering your navel closer to the earth. Taking about 3 breaths total in this pose. We'll use the next inhale that comes to lift up as we start to thread the needle once again. Right hand onto your block, left arm and gaze to the sky, and then exhaling to lower the left arm down 2 more times as smoothly as you can. Inhaling to lift and open, exhaling to rotate and dip nice and low. Making your way to the other side when you are complete. Right arm and gaze lifts up, and then exhaling to dip nice and low. Using this space, grow, move, and breathe. When your 3 are complete, coming to our second and final visit in half camel. Left hand resting on your block. Try to shift your hips a bit more forward this time, taking 3 total breaths. And then when you are ready, making your way onto the other side. Use that block to feel really stable here. And then eventually exhaling your way out, bringing your block to the top of your mat, meeting in tabletop position where perhaps a few cats and cows will find their way into your body. A moment here to complete your warm-up in any way that feels good. This is a great time to remind you to reflect after every practice and incorporate movements that benefit you. Maybe like I'm demonstrating here, warming up the wrists, flipping one palm over, shifting forwards and backwards, or taking anything else your body needs before we come into our main flow of today. Giving your wrists a bit more attention, palms down, turn the fingertips outwards, make big circles in the upper body. And then when you feel complete and ready, warmed from head to toe, spread the fingers wide, tuck the toes under, transition the hips high, downward facing dog. Gazing between the shins, take a few rounds of breath that move through you as you observe how this first visit here feels. Eventually make your way to the top of your mat where we'll start to move. Beginning here with supported forward fold, allow the head to hang heavy and notice if this brings value to your mat, to your practice, with the block under your hands to give you a bit more support. Depending on the tightness in the back of your legs, this might be the solution you've been needing. From here, coming to our forward fold twist, block stays under the nose, right hand is low, left arm and gaze to the sky. Shifting from side to side, bending the knee on the same side as the hand that is down. Allow your breath to flow through you, inhaling to lift, exhaling to switch sides. Doing this a total of 3 times on each side, just this first round, to really feel it into the body. Once you are complete, we'll start to lower into our supported malasana with a block underneath your seat for this visit today. Knees will be bent as you start to lengthen into the spine, ground into the heels. Elbows gently press into the knees to open up more space, feeling this into the hips. And a lot of work happening into the feet to keep us here tall and strong. From your malasana, start to shift your hands backwards as we come to reverse bridge pose. Fingertips and toes face the same way, option to stay still or move like I am demonstrating here. Exhaling to tap the glutes to your block, inhaling to lift up. Depending on the strength in your shoulders, movement might feel better, or holding this pose might serve you more. Explore, learn. Take one more round and then start to shift forward, coming again to a forward fold. Halfway lift as you inhale, exhaling to place your hands onto your mat, stepping back to plank position where I invite you into a flow. Taking your vinyasa, meeting in downward facing dog when you are complete. Inhaling and exhaling to observe. Using an inhale next, reach the right leg all the way up, stacking your hips. And then using a breath out, right foot all the way through to the top of your mat, coming into Warrior Two. Having that block handy, we'll take 3 breaths in and out in this deep hip opening posture, gazing ahead, grounded into both feet. Eventually bringing your block to the inside of your right ankle, coming into triangle pose, 2 straight legs, right arm on the block, left arm and gaze to the sky. Observe how this first visit feels. We will come back here again. Using your next exhale to step to the top of your mat, take 1 round of folded twists, bending the right knee, right arm stays low, left arm and gaze to the sky, and then switching. When your twists are complete, lowering into your malasana once again. Block under your tailbone. This really allows us to lengthen into the spine. Even if you could find this in your body without support, what does it feel like with this block today? From malasana, shifting your hands back, coming once again to our supported reverse bridge position. Option to move with this for 3 breaths or stay holding in your reverse bridge. Choose what works best for you. We're building strength here into the shoulders, activating into the glutes and the core. Eventually coming out of whatever you have been taking, shifting yourself back to a forward fold position, bringing your block along. We are adding on. Beginning to set up for half moon in a way that really grows. In this first round, using both hands to place weight onto the block, with your left leg extended high in the sky behind you, start to lift and lower into your hips. Notice the difference between both hips facing down to the right foot and what it feels like to place the left hip on top of the right. From here, we will make our way into high plank position where you get the chance to flow through your body. Exhaling into your chaturanga, inhaling to upward facing dog, breathing out, meeting in downward facing dog. Amazing work. Doing that same experience for the left side here next. Using an inhale breath, we'll begin to reach the left leg high, bend into the knees, stack your hips, and then step your left foot through Warrior Two. Making sure your block is handy, 3 breaths in and out in this deep pose, opening up into the hips. Eventually straightening into the front leg, sending your left hand down to your block, right arm and gaze to the sky. With the idea here of stacking in the shoulders and hips, notice how this pose feels. Before you exhale to step to the top of your mat, forward fold. Take a moment to twist right side and then the left, using that block for support. Before we lower into our supported malasana. Block under your tailbone, elbows pressing into the knees, long spine, big breaths. Take 1 final breath in our final visit to this pose before shifting your way back into your reverse bridge for 1 last time. If deciding to hold in your reverse bridge this time, maybe you allow the head to lean backwards, really activating into the center body to pull your torso up. Eventually using an inhale to come out of this pose, making your way to a forward fold at the top of your mat. With your block down underneath your head, placing the weight of both hands into it, flying the right leg into the air, starting to lift and lower into the hips. This first preparatory step into our half moon, noticing what it feels like to place the right hip on top of the left and then lowering it back down. Once you have taken around 3 breaths here, stepping back to your high plank, moving through a vinyasa before meeting in downward facing dog. Finding an inhale breath to reach the right leg high to the sky, stacking your hips, really feel open here. And then sending the right foot through again to Warrior Two. Exhaling to sink a little bit deeper, your second visit here to the right side of this pose. Next up, like we've done before, coming into our triangle pose. If you're feeling incredibly open into your hips, both hips stack, you can place the block on the outside of your right shin. Using your next inhale to step to the top of your mat, setting up for half moon. Again, the block is down below your head, right foot stays grounded, left foot into the air. Option again to work with your hip movements or start to stay with your hips stacked. Maybe lifting the top arm all the way up to the sky, just noticing how this strong pose feels in your body. Before eventually exhaling to lower down, making your way to your vinyasa, starting in high plank. Moving through upward facing dog. In downward facing dog, we will meet. Inhaling to reach the left foot high to the sky, and then stepping it through warrior two. 3 big breaths in this posture. Feel deeper, expand fuller. Eventually setting up for triangle pose, with the option to place the block on the outside of the front shin, noticing that from right to left, one side may feel different, using your block for the most appropriate support. Using an exhale next to step to the top of your mat, setting up for half moon on the left side. Option to play just with your hip placement and grow, or start to allow the right hip to stay stacked on top of the left, turning your torso towards the right side, top arm reaches high, maybe even your gaze heads there too. Eventually exhaling out of this posture, coming to the top of your mat before stepping into your vinyasa, coming from plank position. We'll meet in downward facing dog. Amazing work so far. Slowing things down just for a moment. When you are ready, step about halfway to the top of your mat. We're coming into pyramid pose. We'll keep the right foot about 2 feet forward, then the left, hip distance apart, 2 straight legs. Allow your arms to really take the support from this block. Feel the deep stretch on the back side of your right leg, and remember to breathe. Ensuring both heels are grounded, hips are facing forward. With your next exhale, coming out of that side, stepping into the other. Left foot is forward, right foot steps back, 2 straight legs, grounded heels, feeling supported by your block, and deeply stretching into the back side of your left leg. Close your eyes and take a couple deep breaths in and out. From here, we start to visit half moon for a final time. Both feet starting together around the center of your mat. Right hand onto your block for support. Lift the left leg. Begin to peel the left hip on top of the right. Also drawing your left shoulder on top of the right. Doing your best to keep both legs strong and straight. Maybe you gaze up for one more inhale. Exhaling to fold down, setting up for our final visit on the left side. Left foot stays down, left hand grounded by the block, floating your right leg into the air. Playing with stacking your right hip on top of the left or coming into this full expression. Right arm flying to the sky, big strong breaths. Eventually, as slowly as you can, folding forward, releasing from this pose, take a moment to shuffle in your body. And then using our block here to find a low lunge, placing it underneath your right foot, right knee on top of the right ankle, left foot steps back. Noticing a real deep stretch into the left hip flexor. If this is too intense in your body, remove your block, as this might be a variation that takes us further than we could go without. From here, I invite you to shift your hips backwards, peeling your toes up towards the sky, coming into our half splits. A deep stretch for the back side of the right leg. These poses are very beneficial as we continue to grow into poses like half moon. Using your next exhale to start shifting back to the top of your mat, switching to set up on the other side. Left foot under your block, stepping your right foot back, lowering the right knee to the earth, for our variation today of low lunge. Notice a deep stretch into the front side of the right hip, into the crease of your left hip. Take one more full breath in and out before shifting into your half splits position. Again, noting that this block could be adding more depth beyond where your body says yes to right now, taking the variation that works for you. And then eventually inhaling to step your way out of this pose, placing your block to the top, finding a halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, plant your hands, step both feet to the back, high plank position, moving through a vinyasa, breathing out into your chaturanga, inhaling upward dog, exhaling downward facing dog. With an inhale breath, lift the right leg all the way up, start to rotate deeply into the hip before sending the right knee down to the top of your mat, setting up for our half pigeon pose. This is our final stretch. We'll do it on the right and then the left. Today I propose using your block to support your right glute. There's a tendency in this posture to lean towards the hip that we are stretching, using your block to keep it lifted. Hips are square to the ground. When you are ready, lowering the torso, shutting down the eyes, and deeply breathing in and out. Checking in that your back leg is long and extended backwards, toes are untucked, top of your foot pressing into the earth. And on the right leg, there is no discomfort into the knee. Ensuring that the sensation here is deep into your right hip. Continue to fully breathe in and out, relaxing wherever possible. Using an inhale breath to transition your way out of this pose, where we'll take our final vinyasa of our time together here today. Once your vinyasa is complete, from downward facing dog, lifting the left leg, making generous circles into the hip with left knee bent. When you feel ready, setting up for half pigeon on the left side. Left knee lowers down to the mat behind your left wrist, left shin is on an angle heading towards your right hip. Extending the right leg long and behind you, using your block to support your left glute. Eventually allowing the torso to melt down towards your front leg, closing your eyes and breathing deeply. Looking for the deepest sensation of stretch to be into the left hip here. Taking any adjustments or changes that are necessary to ensure your best visit to this side. Using your next inhale breath to begin lifting out of this pose, making our way onto the back side. If on your way you would like to shift into the hips, take a moment to find release in a way that feels good for you. And then maybe today, as we start to set up for shavasana, you consider how a block might feel supportive to you. On the screen, I am demonstrating a soft variation of supported fish pose where the block is lifting my chest, head rests onto the earth, allowing the shoulders to very dramatically melt down. If instead using your block for supported bridge or waterfall would feel better for you, or maybe the block serves as a bit of a lift like a pillow for your head. Wherever you find yourself, look for stillness, look for softness on the backside, dialing down your eyes, and once again, focusing on the simplicity of being exactly where you are, simply inhaling and exhaling. When you are ready, very gently and softly starting to move in the body. Gradually taking any prop out of your practice, placing it to the side, and softly drawing the knees in towards the chest, interlacing the fingers. Taking a moment to truly feel everything within you. And in your own time and way, gently making your way to a seated upright position. Once you land there, bringing palms to touch in front of heart center, lengthening into the spine, finding a moment of gratitude for the support that showed up for you on your mat today, both through the use of this block and your ability to tune into your body. We seal this practice with gratitude for the support in our lives, sitting up a little bit taller. Together we bow forward, and together we say, Namaste. Thank you so much for joining in for this session. I would love to hear about what supported pose most surprised you today. Drop a comment of where your block brought you deeper or into a place you hadn't been before, or perhaps what pose you will always have it handy for moving forward in your practice. Looking forward to seeing you and your block again real soon.